the gist of this question is, how do I decide if I should keep a current employee that is now going to cost me quite a bit more money versus hiring a new employee? And so the real question is this. I'm going to read the question, and I put it on the screen so you can read the backstory if you're interested. The question is, one mowing crew last year, me and a weed whipper. This winter I bought a second vehicle and plan to promote my weed whipper to run the second truck as a two-man crew, and I'd run solo until I reach capacity to hire a helper in my truck. So this employee that was going to take over the second truck lost his license, which is now going to cost the owner, Corey, some additional money, as in $600 to help that guy reinstate his driver's license. Plus he needs personal car insurance to make it to work, and then he also is going to increase the cost of their commercial insurance at the company. And so he's going to have a new expense on this employee over and above last year of $4,050. Now, one idea would be to just go hire somebody new, and based on what he thinks he'd have to pay this new person, his costs would go up $3,600 over and above the amount he was paying this employee last year. So I'm sure that was a bit confusing, but the takeaway is that the old employee is going to cost $450 a year extra versus hiring a new employee. And so the question is, should he go ahead and hire a new employee, or should he retain the current one, and what kind of costs are around training and labor? So kind of a long question here, but it's a good one because it could be applied to all kinds of different scenarios. So my opinion on this, my very first thought is, first and foremost, you have to ask yourself, what is the very best situation? What is the very best solution for the business? So the dilemma as a business owner, especially dealing with employees, is you're caught up with the emotional aspect of, this guy screwed up, he's going to cost me money. This guy screwed up, he did this. This guy screwed up, so he doesn't deserve this. I'm giving him a break, and he really needs to learn a lesson here. There's all these things with employees that can come to mind about why they should or shouldn't get something, or you should or shouldn't do something for them, that are all emotional based. But if you can look at it in this scenario as an outsider, it's easier for me to answer the question, what for you is the absolute best thing for your business? You're a small business, it's you and a crew, and you're now trying to take a big step towards 2 crews. That's a big deal. And so what could derail you from adding this second truck? Well, exactly this. If you don't have anybody to run it, then you go one more year with only 1 truck. You've delayed your big jump forward by a year. And if you've listened to any number of my videos, you know that I believe one of the absolute most important things in business is getting out of the field and being the guy that runs the business, not the guy that works in the business. And so this could delay you maybe a year. I don't know the answer to that. So in my mind, if the answer is there's any chance that by replacing this proven guy that you like and trust that can absolutely take over this second truck with somebody that's unproven, that you have no history with, that could potentially leave you in 4 weeks and you really don't know how good they are yet, and they're only going to cost you, and it's only going to cost you, let's call it $500 extra a year to keep this other guy, I'd keep the other guy. Because at least with him, you somewhat have a proven thing. You know you have a track record. Also, I'm inferring that he's put himself into a predicament here that may make him a little more difficult to hire with other employers. That doesn't mean there aren't plenty that will hire him, because everybody needs labor, but it's going to make it a little bit more challenging for him. So my opinion here is you make the best decision for the business. It sounds to me the best decision for the business is to keep the guy you have because you like and trust him. A lot of people do make mistakes, so one thing you do have to ask yourself, though, is he going to do something that could jeopardize your business? I don't know what the reason here is for the driver's license loss, but is there a track record or something you need to be concerned about where he could do something dangerous driving your vehicle? Or is this an example of poor behavior on his part that is a lifestyle problem that you can't fix, that you're somewhat ignoring because he's a good employee? I don't know that any of that's the case, but ask yourself that. Are you ignoring anything that has been bothering you that you think this guy could eventually wreck my truck, he could crash into somebody, he could do something crazy, or there's something. I don't know that there is, but think about that. And if there's nothing like that, or if this whatever's gone on here isn't something you think is going to resurface and be a problem again, and it's only going to cost you $500 extra to keep this guy so that you can expand to a second truck this year, which is critical, I think you do that. Now, on a side note, how can you have this guy have a little skin in the game? Like, for example, he screwed it all up. And somebody, if you let him go, he's got to immediately go find other employment, and he's still got this problem. So is there a scenario here where you don't pay for all of this? Rather, what you do is you take some amount of it out of his check, and he pays you back. Off the cuff, what if you even gave him a $1 an hour raise, and then you deducted some portion of that that was him paying you back? Or basically you had a deal that, hey, I'll pay you, I'm going to give you a $1 an hour raise, you're becoming a driver, or I'm going to give you a $2 an hour raise, you're becoming a driver, I'm giving you more authority in the company, I really see you as a key part of the company. But what we're going to do is I'm basically out of pocket $2,760 helping you out. And I'd like to have you pay me back 75% of that. So I'm going to give you this extra bump. I'm going to take you from $12 to $14 an hour. And what we're going to do is I'm going to continue giving you the $12 and applying $2 to pay off this debt. And you might have him pay off the full $2,700 debt. You may have him pay off 50% of it, 70% of it, but something. You're paying this money anyway. I mean, what I think we've concluded possibly is that you want to keep this guy. So if you're paying the money, how can you spin this? Can you say, hey, tell you what, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to give you a raise. That further locks him in. That gives him more motivation. He sees potential at the company. He's taking on more authority. He makes more money. But you really don't have any additional money out of pocket because you have only two options here. Either you pay the entire bill yourself, or you pay the entire bill yourself and get repaid some portion. So by giving him a bump and then not actually giving him any of the additional money, using that money to have him pay you back, creates sort of a win-win scenario. It was going to be throwaway money anyway. Now you're at least increasing his salary and making him feel better. And if you want to, you're sort of teaching him a lesson here. And I feel that if this guy's going to eventually run a truck and be that critical, you're going to eventually want to pay him more anyway and lock him in. You don't want him to leave you even next year if he's really as good as I perceive you're saying he is. And so consider that as a possibility. But the takeaway here is that when we're making employee decisions, we have to make employee decisions that are best for the company. Sometimes we have bad employees that we absolutely cannot let go now for whatever reason, but we'll be able to in the future. And so strategically, we keep them for just a little bit longer. And that does happen. That's an absolute consideration. You cannot get emotional about this stuff and make a rash decision, which you're clearly not. And those rash employee decisions are what often hinder businesses, and guys wake up one day and they think the whole world's against them and they're so unlucky that their business hasn't grown. And what reality is, it's the compounding of lots of little poor decisions or emotional decisions. And we need to be, as business owners, as best we can, we need to look at our business from a business perspective and keep as much emotion out of it as possible. Good luck.